You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
I'm now joined in studio by David Maguire, the loans manager with Wexford Credit Union. David, you might start by telling me a bit about your own background, please.
I spent 10 years in the insurance business. Then I joined the board of directors here for 5 years, and I've been working here for 16 years.
I know that the credit unions in general have got bad publicity over the last number of years in relation to some of the loans that they gave out, some of the sizable loans. Was Wexford Credit Union involved in any of those?
No, absolutely, and I agree. There was bad publicity last year among some credit unions. A number of smaller credit unions and some one or two large credit unions got involved in investments and got involved in large commercial lending. Thankfully, Wexford has a very big loan portfolio, but we have an awful lot of loans, but they're spread our average loan is 8,000 to 10,000 euros. We have an awful lot of them, but we've very few large loans, and our risk is spread very widely.
What's the total size of the loan book in Wexford Credit Union?
It's in around 75 million at the moment.
And on average each year, how much in loans would you give out?
Again, in the good day, it is coming down, but we're given somewhere around 20-25 million in loans a year. I think this year there was about 24 million is the figure for this year to date.
And an average loan size, what would that be?
I say we try 9,500, 10,000 at the moment.
In advance of today's meeting, I had a look at your annual report for last year, and I saw you had a whopping profit of almost 9.5 million. What do you put that down to?
Again, there's a hard-working staff. It's a very strong credit union. We've a great membership, and I'd say we've a great relationship in the community. We've an awful lot of loans. We're very lucky that we didn't get involved in commercial lending and big lending. And again, we have obviously that bad debts issues and bad debts problems, nothing too serious. But I think we have a great relationship with our community, and I think that's why we put it down to our relationship we have. We've a great demand for loans here. We've a great demand for savings, and we have a very healthy, strong credit union. Over
the last number of years, how have you seen your own members' saving habits change?
They have changed. Again, obviously peaking in 2008 when things were really fantastic for everybody. We haven't seen a major fall off. As people are aware, we do give a return on our investments. We give a dividend on our savings. It hasn't been as good as we'd like, but we gave one last year. We hope to give one again this year. But I think people are looking for security, and I think in the credit union they know their money is secure and safe, and I think that's the bottom line. That's what people want, and we're seeing a growth in saving at the moment.
And in terms of loans today, what are people looking for loans for?
At the moment, we're up to our eyes. All week, it's just interviewing queues out the door. It's obviously this time of year for third level education fees. As people are coming, it's coming home to roost that we have to pay exam fees and tutorial fees and education fees. So we have an awful lot of students and their parents coming in and getting education loans, which is very big business for us. We do a third level fees rate of 4.9%. Car loans would obviously is always a favourite, and home improvements would be big things. I say we do a lot of home improvements, a lot of car loans, and this time of year education loans.
And in relation to businesses, how do you support startups?
I won't say we're not in the business for business. We obviously, if our members are keen in getting money to start up business, we're very keen to talk to them. Yes, we will deal with every member who comes into us if whatever ideas they have, business ideas. We take a bit longer to looking at business loans. We like to see commitment. We want to see business plans. We want to see projections. But we take them. We will listen to everybody who has an idea on business. Obviously, as I say, our average loans are quite small. We're not for big business lending as such, but in personal lending among members, if they want to start a business, we're more than keen to talk to them.
And have you had interest from many members over the last 12 months in relation to starting a business?
Yeah, it has been unusual because obviously there's an awful lot of people out there who are thinking of starting up, and we have given support to small business lending. We will look at, as I say, I'm talking very small amounts of money here. People have an idea, a startup sole trader wants to start up decorating, cutting grass, doing this, that type of thing. Starting large business lending, I say it's not really our game, and we're not really keen. But for small lending, we're keen to talk about it.
Has the financial regulator had any impact on your own business over the last number of years in terms of putting further restrictions on how you do lend?
Absolutely, the financial regulator is very much involved, and we have changed how we do lending considerably in the last 2 to 3 years. A lot more emphasis now are on the areas loan assessments. We spend a lot more time doing credit checks. So if somebody comes in the past, we might not have spent as much time checking people out and checking, but unfortunately due to financial regulations and that, we do spend more time. So everybody who comes in here, we have to do checks on them, credit checks, and a lot more background information that we would have had done in the past. But at the end of the day, that gives out better lending.
And has the financial regulator put any restriction in terms of a cap or ceiling in relation to any loans?
As the financial regulator has imposed a cap on in 99% credit unions in the country, we have a lending cap which hasn't affected us. It's affected less than 1% of our members who are affected by it. We have there's a limit on our lending here, but it has only affected 1% of our membership.
And just to focus on your loan book, have you had many bad debts, or what's your experience in relation to defaults on loans?
We have, obviously, in the times we're in, everybody is having issues, financial issues, and it's very common. And absolutely, we have had issues with bad debts. But as I said earlier, we have an awful lot of loans out there, and a percentage of those will have difficulty. People have difficulties. But I would say we're very more than open for members to come and talk to us. We're very keen that they will come in and speak to us, and we will talk to people about refinancing and looking at the other options of paying back their money. Obviously, we've empathised totally with people who are going through a tough time at the moment, and we would ask them and persuade them to come in and talk to us. If we were quite happy to deal with anybody. If they want to ignore us, obviously we'll go after them, but we're more than happy to deal with them and talk to them, come up to some other financial arrangement with them.
From your experience, are you finding that there's many people out there that are putting their head in the sand in relation to defaulting on loans?
I don't. I think we've been over the worst of it. I think most people at this stage have faced up to it, that we have an issue and they do come in. But it's amazing. People are still, I didn't want to come in, I don't want to, what can you do? And very often what's a major problem to them is, God, it's actually maybe not a big problem. They haven't been thought outside the box. Maybe we say, here, look, do it a different way. Let's refinance it, restructure. Let's look at some other way of doing it. So we very much encourage people, if they're having difficulties, come in and talk to us.
David, what's your position in relation to non-members that would be looking to start a business and might like to talk to yourselves in the credit union about getting a loan to do so?
We're, as I very much open for all sorts of business, and we probably don't push ourselves far enough that we should be out there saying we're open for business, we're open for loans, absolutely. For non-members, to become a member of a credit union, you have to either live or work in the area. So if I was living in Gorey, I couldn't join Wexford, but I could join Gorey. Gorey, Enniscorthy and Euronos credit unions are all very actively open for business as well. You have to live or work in the area. So I said, if you lived in Wexford, you could join Wexford. You have to bring in the normal things to open an account, and either a bank or proof of incomes and or proof of address, proof of photography identification, PPS numbers are required to open an account in any credit union. But then for new members, we do need to see that they would have some interest in the business, what they're interested in. We want to see a business plan. We want to see commitment to it, their knowledge of the business they're wanting to get into, background information. We will look at loans. If it's the ability to pay back the loan is really what we're concerned about. Can they afford to pay back the loan? So they don't have to necessarily, as in the past where you would have had to have a certain amount of money in your savings. Now we much more look for your ability to pay back that loan. And if it's in a situation, we may ask for guarantor, look for guarantor security on that loan. So somebody who's not a member, who had a good guarantor or was able to prove to us that they had an ability to pay it back, yes, of course, we'd love to talk to them.
There's no doubt about it, the credit union here in Wexford is certainly loaning lots of money each year. But tell me, more importantly, what percentage of loan applications are you turning down each year?
It's about 5 to 6%. We're refusing at the moment, which is a very low figure, I would think, in present circumstances. Again, we won't promise people. If we interview people for loans, we talk to them in depth. If we think it's not going to happen, we'll tell them it's not going to happen. But it's very, very rarely that we refuse. We try not to. And we would look at other ways. Somebody might look for a loan at 10,000 and we say, this isn't going to happen. But we might end up giving them 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000. If we see the ability mightn't be clear to pay back the full 10, we might give them 5 or 6. We look for ways not to refuse loans.
So in the 5 or 6%, what have been the core reasons why you've refused those?
Again, the ability, if they can prove to us that they can pay it back, and we're not happy that there's no clear ability to pay back the loan, it could be to do it, and it is becoming more of an issue where credit check issues are, there might be issues, and it's quite normal now to see people having difficulties in moratoriums and mortgages, and that's normal enough now, but if there could be other financial issues, and it would be something might show up on credit check, that's the main reason now. But it's more so that their ability to pay back the loan is not there, is not clear.
What's your viewpoint in relation to moratoriums? How is that taken into consideration today in relation to a loan application?
We don't have an issue. It's not as serious. At least they've gone to their lender, they've explained their situation, and it's not taken as very much as a negative. We think it's somebody who's faced up to responsibilities, talked to their mortgage company and come to an agreement. We wouldn't see it as a major black mark. Yes, obviously there's issues, so we need to discuss them. So we will ask them, clearly, what's the history of an issue? Is your lender happy to do that? When are you going back off your moratorium? It's not a a major problem.
I've had Brian Keogh, the CEO of Wexford Local Development, on the show a couple of months ago, and they're very, very keen to give out money to rural-based business people that would be interested in starting or growing a business in their particular area. But one of the issues that they're coming across is that they can provide, let's say, 50% funding in respect of a project, but the promoter has issues and is finding it very difficult to get their hands on the balance. And WLD are in a restrictive position in that they can't give out the money unless it's guaranteed that the promoter can actually source the other 50%. Would Wexford Credit Union be interested in looking at that type of business?
Again, we would be looking. Again, we have jurisdictions in place at the moment, and we would obviously look at all sorts of business issues like that. Again, if it comes in within our remit, yes, we would be very keen to do that, and we have talked to people in the past about that. And again, in that situation, maybe where there might be a family member could go guarantor on it, yes, we would talk. We would be quite keen on that.
I know that Wexford Credit Union is 50 years old this year. How did it all start?
Oh, it's a fascinating story, and Karl, we don't have all day, but basically it started a group of interested-minded people, one or two who are still actively involved in the organisation, came together. Credit unions were very big in Canada, and they still are very big in Canada, and the idea came to a group, and they said, why can't we have it in Wexford? We're one of the first ones in Ireland. And it was literally a group of people came together, said, why can't we use our own money? The banks at that stage weren't keen to give money out. There was all sorts of money lending issues. A local group came together. They started it up as volunteers. It was run by volunteers for at least 10 years before they started taking on staff, but has been remarkably successful in it. But the credit union movement in general has been very, very strong. There are going to be changes in the movement. There is restructuring taking place. At the moment, there's over 500 credit unions in Ireland, which doesn't make sense. So you're going to see a lot more amalgamations among credit unions, and that'll take place in the next year or two. We'll see. There won't be as many, but you'll still have your local credit unions, but there'll be fewer of them. They'll be just spread out. It only makes sense for all sorts of cost savings, but there shouldn't be any redundancies. But bigger credit unions will take over smaller credit unions is basically what's going to happen.
Well, David, it's certainly been a very informative interview. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for coming in, and wish you continued success in your role with Wexford Credit Union.
You're listening to South East Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.